Hello, Professor Toybox here, along with Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, and today is the day we're finally going to finish my Fantasia toy box. It's been a long time coming. I began building this toy box when I first set the sky back in episode 3 on September 13th, 2019, and here we are on December 18th of 2020. We've been working on this toy box for 15 months. Can you believe it? Before we get to our final lesson in this toy box, let's review the story of how we got here. If you remember the Fantasia movie, Mickey brought a broom to life to do his chores. When he lost control of the broom, he took an axe to it and hacked it to bits. But each of the bits grew into more brooms, and Mickey quickly found himself battling a whole army of them. Some of the brooms wandered out of the magician's castle and began causing problems in the village. So Mickey's first task in my toy box was to save the villagers from the brooms by bringing them to a place of safety. He also helped the farmer round up his sheep which had escaped their pen. While Mickey was busy, two of the magician's enemies decided to take advantage of the confusion and attack the magician's castle. The first was the demon Chernabog, who raided the castle and stole one of the magician's scrolls. Mickey raced to Bald Mountain, and fortunately, he was able to defeat Chernabog and recover the scroll before the demon had a chance to break the scroll's protective spell. When Mickey finally returned to the magician's castle, he discovered that a second enemy had invaded the castle and sent his minions to take over. After battling more brooms, as well as the enemy's strange minions, solving a wide variety of puzzles, and overcoming a variety of obstacles, Mickey was finally able to break the enemy's spell and open a portal to the enemy's mysterious dimension. Mickey stepped through the portal, and now he finds himself here, in Time's castle. So now he knows that it was Time who tried to take over the magician's castle, and he needs to battle Time and defeat him in order to save Fantasia. Now, 2 days ago, I showed you how to build Time's Castle, which is the third and final toy box in my Fantasia adventure. And this is going to serve as our arena for the final boss battle. There's a few finishing touches that I forgot to add as I wrapped up the video on Wednesday. And so I want to take a moment here before we go any further just to put these in. I had meant to put a railing in up here around the perimeter of this archway that's at the start, because I think that'll add a nice finishing touch for this. So this won't take but a moment. Go ahead and put this in. I think it's worth it because, like I said, it makes it look a little bit more finished. And fortunately, it doesn't use up too much memory, so that's a good thing. Alright, the next finishing touch that I had, that I wanted to put in, and you can see, by the way, that looks a lot better, is the top of this wall here. And what we're going to do is we come over to the same place in this drawer, and we have this Asgardian trim piece. And we're going to put these in along the top of this. Now you'll note, because I started a block in over there on the right, we're actually going to end up sticking out one block here on this side as well. And so what you can do to fix that is to come down to the blocks drawer, or the terrain drawer rather, and put one of these in here. And if you want, you're on a system that has a little bit more memory than my Wii U, you can do that all the way across down the face of that. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to do this. And that kind of puts a nice corner there on it. And this just makes it look a little bit more finished. So I like the way that looks. And then over on this side, we'll do the same thing here. And again, you can run this all the way down to the end if you'd like. And then the last thing I wanted to do, because you have this weird situation where this large block is sitting on top of those little blocks and there's nothing underneath, I thought it would be a good idea to put a base underneath here. So it looks like it's actually supported by something. So just like that. And that looks a lot better in my opinion. Alright, now the other thing we did rather, in the last episode is we set up 2 enemy wave generators, one on that side and one on that side for some additional minions to battle before time makes his appearance. But now we're ready to set up the final battle, and that brings us to the topic for today's lesson, the boss battle spawner. You'll find this toy in the Creativitoys drawer, assuming of course you purchased it from the toy store. This toy allows you to spawn certain boss enemies in your toy box so you can battle them. These are bosses like you see in some of the play sets, and you'll notice it has a very large bounding box, and it takes up a very large area. And so if we try to drop this down here, where I would ultimately like to put it, it's in the way. So you have a couple of choices. You can create a large open area with nothing in it, which isn't going to work for our arena, and I did this on purpose, by the way, to show you this. Or you can have the boss kind of drop in from above, and that's what I've chosen to do. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here, and you'll notice the memory meter on the right jumped a huge amount, and that's because this takes up a lot of memory and a lot of resources. And so this is why I use the boss battle spawner with a small toy box like this on my Wii U, something that doesn't take up a whole lot of memory. Now those of you that are on a PS4 or a PC probably don't have that kind of a memory limit. You can build a larger toy box that includes a boss fight spawner. But if you're on one of the other platforms, you need to be a little bit more careful about the memory that you use. Now the other thing is, you'll notice this is taking a long time. And it just finally came back, and it appeared like it was hung for a little while, but it actually takes a long time to put that down. The memory jumped, and I don't know what it was doing, but but it's in here now, and my console hasn't crashed or locked up. So let's take a look at the properties. We'll open the logic menu, and we'll look under the properties, and there's one property, and it's the boss. This is the boss character that you want this boss battle spawner to put in your toy box. And if we open that, you'll see there's a nice long list of bosses with a wide variety of characters. And the one I want for my toy box is Time, so I'll select him. That's going to be mine. Now, if you don't have all of these bosses available, then you either don't have the most recent game update, or you haven't unlocked that boss yet. And I can't remember for sure, but if individual bosses do need to be unlocked, I think you do that in the Toy Box Takeover game, or by placing the corresponding villain figure on the Disney Infinity base. And I don't remember which it is. I've seen conflicting info online, and since I've already unlocked everything, I can't really demo it for you, so sorry about that. Now the other thing, let me go ahead and bring up the list again. The other thing is not all of the game's villains are accounted for. If you look through the list, you'll notice that Maleficent and Loki, Ultron, and Kylo Ren are all missing. And it would have also been nice if they had included some of the other playset villains, like Butch Cavendish, Emperor Zurg, or Emperor Palpatine. And personally, I also would have liked to have seen Jafar and Clue, King Candy, and Marshmallow, since they already had models for these characters. I don't think it would have been too much more work for them to add these in. But still, we've got a pretty good selection, so that's nice. Now the toy that's going to kick off my boss battle is going to be this dual action trigger over here. And each of the enemy wave generators feeds into this. I set that up last time. And so this toy, this dual action trigger, is going to be invoked when both of the waves from the enemy wave generators are defeated. And again, I set that up on Wednesday. So if we open the logic menu for the dual action trigger and we do a new logic connection, when complete, we'll come over here and go up to the boss battle spawner. And if I open the logic menu, this toy has 3 behaviors. You have on, which will turn on the boss battle spawner and spawn the boss that's set in the properties. You can turn this off, which will turn off this toy and remove the boss. And then you have reset, which will reset the toy after the boss has been defeated. So if you want to fight him again, you can turn off the toy and reset and then turn it back on to spawn a new version of the boss. And my dual action trigger is going to turn this on. Now, in the logic menu, you'll notice there's also new logic connection, and there are 3 trigger signals that this toy will broadcast. The first is generated, and that's done when the boss is generated. And if I select that, it brings up a list of the bosses, which is interesting because it shouldn't be able to generate anything other than the boss that I set in the properties. But the interesting thing about this is if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice time is not in the list. So the final game update that they did that added time into the list, they did not update the list of actors for any of these 3 trigger signals. So for time, these 3 trigger signals won't work. And so we'll have to cancel out of that. I don't need to use these anyway, but so generated is when the boss is generated, defeated is when he's defeated, obviously. And then there's dismissed, and I could not figure out what this was for. I tried turning off the boss battle spawner when the boss was in the toy box. I tried resetting it. I tried everything I could think of to get it to trigger this dismissed signal, and I just could not figure out what triggered that. So I don't know. I can't help you with that one. But I think most of the time when I've seen this, most people are usually kicking off of the defeated trigger. Maybe the generated, but usually they want to know when the boss is defeated so they can trigger a celebration or something. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this because I don't need this. And so that's it. That's the boss battle spawner. And now that we've set up our boss battle, let's go ahead and give it a try. So I'm going to come over here to the starting pad where we begin. And we'll run through the archway, and that trigger area will kick off the enemy wave generators, which puts the bears into the toy box and this marsh muck. Mickey's gotten pretty powerful as he's leveled up. Whoa! A little trickier with multiples of these guys. Oh my goodness. Mickey's having a hard time just with these guys. There we go. Took care of him. Okay. Got some more on the other side. I'll make sure I get my sparks, though. So Time isn't ready to make his appearance just yet. We've got a couple more enemies. Or looks like one more enemy that we got to deal with. And he's stuck in that corner. And there he is. And now Time, you can see the health bar has appeared. And he was coming around that corner. Oh no!
I'm having the time of my life!
Get up, Mickey!
I need a minute.
I've got this set on easy in case you're wondering. Hey, there we go. Time's been defeated, and the world of Fantasia is now safe. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my Fantasia toy box and this series so far. If you've followed along with all of my tutorials and built this toy box on your own system, you now have a fun new adventure to play through, filled with working examples of many of the toys that you can come back and reference anytime you want. We still have a lot of toys we haven't covered yet, so toy box tutorials will continue after the holidays. In case you're wondering what's next, I've had a lot of requests involving racetracks and racing in general, so in January we'll start building a brand new toy box as we take a look at the different racing toys. Meanwhile, thank you for watching my video today and for sticking with me through this long series. I hope you found these basic tutorials helpful. It's been fun seeing the toy boxes that some of you have created with your newfound knowledge. I've enjoyed your videos of them. Keep doing that, and be sure to subscribe to my channel or follow me on my blog if you haven't already done that. For the final time, Mickey and I are signing off from Fantasia. Have a great weekend, and Merry Christmas.